What made you want to reach out to us? Curiously, actually.
I saw your videos months back, and then I saw that Huda was on here, and I was like, this is really, I love the conversations, and I love the quality of your content. And being someone that's working in content and working with videographers all the time on music videos and doing editing, all that kind of stuff, I take pride in working with people who take that seriously as well. Awesome. So I loved how you did that. And I know that you guys have, only started this a couple months, 7 months ago. And so you're still growing it. But I wanted to also love the nature of how you guys spoke and the interviews. Yeah. So I wanted to speak and be interviewed by you guys and also have the chance to speak about some of the stuff that's coming out tomorrow and to be able to kind of also be relieved from some of the stuff, because it's the song and the singles and all that kind of stuff it's a very strange thing to be putting out a song that is a story from 2007. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I wanted to be able to talk about it. And you guys seem like the exact fit that I wanted to talk to. Yeah, so it worked out.
I mean, that's the energy we want to put out. So
well, it's working.
Give people a space to talk about their stories.
Yeah.
So what happened in 2007?
We're going straight into it. Well, tomorrow, a little bit of a plug over here, right? Yeah. So tomorrow, my 2 singles come out. One of them is called Not Your Australian Idol, ? And the other one is called Brown and Beautiful. So when I was on Idol in 2007, there's a video circulating online on my Instagram and YouTube that you can view that the audition got a little bit racist and it was a bit awkward. And my name was made fun of because my last name is Daha, so it's Siki Daha. So within that name, one of the judges, Mark Holden, decided to make fun of that. And he was like, aha, Daha, maha, whilst I was right in front of them. I hadn't even sung yet. I just walked in. Wow. So it was basically on my appearance and my name, and it was very awkward.
How old were you?
19.
19. So
yeah,
but just fresh out of school.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
Had you experienced anything like this in the music industry? Had you been anywhere in the music industry before? Or?
I hadn't, because I lived in Perth for a period of time. So I had in Perth when I was 17 experienced, this was my first moment dealing with a situation like this where my mom and I were in a meeting with an independent record label, and the woman had said to us, we're going to put your religion, because at the time, my background's Pakistani. Yeah. So at the time, you're still navigating and working out who you are really. So religion was part of it. And she was like, we're going to put your religion, Islam, into a box. And we're going to say that you're American because of my accent. And we're going to, when the time is right, if we sign you, if we do all that kind of stuff, we'll let the world know where you're really from. And my mom was like, we're not doing that. Yeah. No, thank you so much. Nope, we're not doing this. And then, that was the end of it.
That's crazy. I mean, I know that's... First of all, I was going to do like a formal introduction. We've kind of gone a little bit into it.
That's okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Dojo Media Show. This is Dojo Media Co. I'm Logan and Raph, and joining us today is the amazing, talented artist Siki Daha.
Thank you.
And we want to talk about so many amazing projects that you're a part of, such as Music Roof, such as mentoring artists, so many other things. But just to continue on this, so
sure.
You were on Australian Idol at the age of 19. I know that, though not necessarily Australian Idol, but all those kinds of talent shows, they're also the same like that, and they want you to make up a bit of a backstory, essentially. Yeah. Did you experience the same thing there, or was it didn't even get that far?
In my initial audition, because there was already this racist kind of weird, strange moment of making fun of my name, there was no reason or need for them to edit in a backstory. There was never really a story that I needed to give at that point, because I think my name was enough. I guess suffice enough for entertainment for that time. And then me having to sing after he made fun of my name, kind of shutting him down with my voice, which got me to the next stage, was really like gratifying and great. But I think that whole scenario of 7-8 minutes on TV that was edited in there worked to their what's the word here? It worked to their betterment. Yeah.
At least it wasn't like Simon Cowell, or was he as bad?
I don't know if they, because in England and Europe, they have a lot more exposure to people like myself. So there's less of situations like that. Australia is, an amazing, beautiful, brilliant country, but we're still not as exposed. At that time, we weren't as exposed to people who look or sound or have strange kind of names like that on TV. So it's like it was a different moment. Now it's everyone's got names like that. You know what I mean? So and it wasn't that long ago.
And things are changing a lot.
Massively. Yeah, massively. So
I can imagine after the show, everyone would be like, "Oh, that's sick that you got on there," and really happy for you. But they don't know like what's going through your head.
No.
So,
they don't.
Talk us through like the mental experience after that.
Well, when I sang on the show, they had asked me to, when a lot of people go on these shows, they do a lot of screaming songs, right? Because people want to hear people screaming and they want to be like this big thing. Yeah. They asked me to sing a lot of a bigger song, and I said, no, I want to sing Don't Know Why. So Don't Know Why by Norah Jones, because it's a great song and the tone of my voice would work really well for that. And it just seemed like a better way to go. Yeah. And I argued with the executive producer once or twice, and they're like, you've gotten this far, please listen to us because you might not get further. So I had another song just there in case they didn't like the first one. But the first one got me through, and they were curious to know if there would be another one. So I sang Can't Take My Eyes Off You, but the Lauryn Hill version. I just went into the chorus, I need you, baby, that part. And then, from that, it was great, and they were kind, and it was lovely. And the process was really daunting. But at 19, like, what do you know? You know what I mean? You're still experiencing things. And it was, I think, also having him make fun of my name and be put on the spot. You have to kind of be able to respond as fast as you can and be quick on your feet and deal with the whole thing. So I think I did okay. I think I did okay to get me as far as I did.
I think you have to be so brave just to even audition for that.
And did that make you feel like you had to pivot what kind of direction you were going in? Because,
no, I don't think
you didn't really have much of an identity at that point?
No.
Okay.
I was dressed like an old grandpa. Like I'll send you guys a video. But I had like these weird baggy jeans on, and I had like a grandpa jacket from like politics, and it was just so, I was dressed so weird. It was just awkward. You know what I mean?
Was it like that mid-2000s?
It was, yeah, 2007. It was weird. Yeah. I don't know what I was trying to show, but thank God the other guy gave me a nice compliment today. And I'm like,
everything's changed.
Have you guys experienced stuff like that?
Like what specifically?
Like, have you ever gone for auditions or anything like that, or people have treated you a certain way based on how you look or your name or anything?
Not me specifically, no. What about you?
Not that I can think of, really. Not too much. I'm sure it has, but I just can't think of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Where I guess, like, speaking for both of us, we're not really putting ourselves in the spotlight too much. Like, I did like acting in high school kind of thing, but it was always, high school performances, pretty low key sort of thing. So it was never, and we're doing sort of Shakespeare performances. They didn't care who was playing what role kind of thing. So it was never really
I sent someone a link to the podcast this morning and he said not interested.
Oh, rude.
That was pretty sad.
Yeah, we're probably going to get the most like hate that we've received probably through this podcast.
Wait, you just said not interested, nothing else?
That's it.
Are you serious?
It was pretty funny.
People speak like that? What an asshole. Wait, can I swear on this?
Yeah.
When I was 13, and we're talking about all these weird moments. When I was 13, I went to audition for Sound of Music in Perth. And they told me, and it's funny because now I look at Idol and talking to you guys, I'm starting to remember this stuff. But at 13, I went and sang, and the woman blatantly said to me, because we're looking for someone who's blonde and blue-eyed, right? Which is fine. You're trying to do Sound of Music, but it should be about the talent. It shouldn't just be about the looks, which I think why The Voice works really well now, because they have the chairs and the sound and all that kind of stuff. So this kind of thing has happened since I was quite young, which is very weird.
Definitely.
Now that I'm thinking about it, and it's all coming back to mind, I'm like, all right, it's like gonna be a therapy session in here.
Well, I think like kind of to end the Australian part of it, I think what happens in Australia is it's really casual. So it's, again, like it's not really in your face. We're not experiencing it day to day like we are in somewhere like England. But yeah, I think it's just so much more casual. Like the things that are said aren't really meant to like disparage you, but obviously if it's said enough, it's gonna sort of take a toll.
Yeah.
And sort of taking that back to something you said. So this was 2007. This happened, and you've held on to it for this long to release music directly related to it now. Why is now the time? Because
people are willing to listen. People weren't willing to listen at the time before Black Lives Matter happened. The shift that's happened in society and the change that we've now experienced, it's a completely different thing for people of color. From South Asian to First Nations to Black, Latin, Asian, we now have platforms that people are willing to give us. For example, like me being here with you guys and speaking, you're giving me a platform to talk about my story, whilst this was not of interest prior. There's still a lot of setbacks. Just like last year when I released an album and I got in touch with a couple of publicists, three of them said, you're not Triple J and indie enough for us, right? So you still got not that it has anything with race, but it's still, you're constantly going to get setbacks in all ways with where your talent is concerned, right? So I think with the Idol stuff, it's been there, but it's been suppressed. And there's been other things in that song that are telling of the years that came afterwards, and working with record execs or working for specific labels, and getting into specific meetings and dealing with people that are not as educated on certain things and kind of taking advantage of you. And so there's been a lot of stuff like that, but I haven't had the platforms nor the heart or the courage to speak about it until now. And so I think now's the best time I can do it. And now I can be relieved from it.
Yeah.
You know, once the song comes out tomorrow, like, I'm done. What else is there to say?
You say that though, man, but you might spark a whole new conversation.
I don't think people care that much. Only I care, really. I don't think anyone gives a shit.
No, I mean, specifically about your story, maybe. But I mean, like, the things you're talking about might spark a whole new conversation, which was going to lead me into asking, like, so what, outside of personal relief for yourself, what else are you hoping to achieve with this song and the message that you're pushing out? Yeah.
Well, the reason I brought 2 songs out tomorrow is that Not Your Idol is about that time on Idol, plus a few racist situations and like strange situations that happened in my 20s. But then there's a song to counter that, which is called Brown and Beautiful, which I've got CJ and Janae and all these people that you guys know on this little teaser like video that's coming out tomorrow on Monday. And with that, it's to kind of go, this shitty thing happened, and this song is about that. But also, we are brown and beautiful, and this song is to empower people of color like myself. And we didn't have this. No one's written songs like this, as far as I know. It's a cool acoustic track, which is done with a producer here in Brisbane, Blake. And it's just a way for me to kind of tell 2 sides of the story. Yeah. Cool, this happened, but we can look at it from a positive side.
Yeah. You told me that you're Pakistani, is that right?
Yeah, my background is Pakistani.
For me, like, the first thing I'm thinking is, oh, that's really cool. I want to get you on and talk about that. We haven't had anyone from there on.
Yeah.
You know? Like, I want to hear your experience as someone from there, because we hear about everything else a million times.
Yeah, this is true.
Or as a Muslim singer, any of that. Like,
well, I mean, my background is from an Islamic country, but I think when I got to a certain age, I recognize that I can't really call myself a Muslim or be in the state of being saying that I am Islamic, because I don't practice it. Yeah. It's not something that I follow intensively. I grew up in that nature and in that environment, and I'm very proud to be from Pakistan, but I don't think I could say I'm a practicing Muslim. Yeah. But when people ask me where I'm from, I just say I'm South Asian Australian. That's the best way for me to say it. And the journey, like the journey in finding out what Pakistan, being Pakistani and Australian means, has been a very, very long journey. Because when you come here, and we came here in 97, my brothers who are older than me, they're quite whitewashed. So they see things in a very different way. Yeah. Everything is very, I am Australian and that's it. Well, I have no connection with culture. Whilst I'm completely the opposite. Yeah. You know, so I had to explain to my brother what BIPOC meant the other day. He had no idea. Yeah. You know, and and that's been the 2 years in a row I've had to explain that to him. He's gonna hate that I've said this on camera. And the other one asked me every year. Yeah. Every year he's like, what does BIPOC mean? I'm like, we've had this conversation.
Don't even ask me anymore.
I don't even bother saying it.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. Like, it seems like you found more of a community now, and you're doing all these projects with multicultural people and all that. Yeah. Whereas I'm sure there was a time in your life where you didn't even know that existed in Australia. No. Like me too. Like, I didn't know that was a thing.
What was your background?
Jewish and Russian.
Ah, amazing. Yeah. So did you have many examples or like inspiration when you were growing up here?
From that community? Yeah. Not for like creative stuff, really. Right. No, they're like more into other things.
What about now? Is there anybody from the culture that you're like, oh, that's really inspiring? Because I found loads of people now who are South Asian, Pakistani, Indian, Sri Lankan.
Not too much from that exact one, but I just feel like a multicultural person. Like, I don't really care where anyone's from, but I want to be around people from everywhere. Yeah. So you can absorb and learn. Yeah.
And I think
just
even
attached to that one culture.
Those communities might start as like a Russian only thing, but if people are really gravitating to it, it's quickly just going to grow into a multicultural thing anyway.
Massively,
Like the Sound of Freak's a good example of like in the title it says Afrik, you know, so you kind of assume Afro kind of things, but they did the gala recently had like Spanish dancers and like a white beatboxer and things like that. Yeah, so just like totally different things. Yeah. So I think that's kind of what you're doing.
Actually,
right?
it's on
not
that
a specific
topic,
community thing. It's just about like the community of creativity that's growing.
Cross cultures.
I think I've thought about this a lot. Like, Australia has the most beautiful opportunity and one of like countries in the whole world for us to all connect. And but for some reason, to this day, still a lot of people want to keep to themselves and like be in their own little pockets and stuff.
And there's also a very weird, like every state, because I'm from New Zealand as well, so I can look at it from sort of an outside perspective. Yeah. Every state has something weird to say about the other state too. Like,
that's
like
so
you're
true.
any different. Like, like,
that's so
people
true.
From South Australia are so weird. It's like,
why? But I mean, then you think about it all over the globe, like Americans even. New Yorkers will say something weird about people from Texas, or Texas will say something weird about Washington. It's a very common thing. My friends here, Sydney, the one in Sydney, constantly bashing the one in Melbourne. Melbourne, I
Sydney
just
and
don't give a
Melbourne's
shit.
the biggest war.
I don't know why though. What's the reason?
They're literally so close. Like,
I just don't understand. They're both big cities and they're both
Canberra,
super different.
You don't want to tell people you're from Canberra.
No. Are either of you from Canberra?
No, but we did have a guest on from Canberra.
And he's killing it. So shout out to Canberra.
I love that.
But yeah, like the creative community, have you seen it grow being in Brisbane, or do you just think you're taking more notice of it? Because I definitely say that. I feel like in the last 2 years, it seems like it's grown. I know certain events that have sort of come up from the ground, but it's also like, am I just paying more attention to it now? Because people do tell us that, you know, compared to somewhere like Melbourne, Brisbane still doesn't really have a whole lot happening. So what kind of trajectory have you seen?
I think one of the reasons I moved here is because I felt that it was a really strong artistic community.
And how long ago was that?
That was in 2021. Okay. So almost like 3 years or something now. So it's is that 3 years? This will be 3rd year, right? Yeah. Crazy. Maths is really bad.
That's cool. It's not something everyone says about Brisbane.
Is that it's going, the artistic community?
No, just that they would move from like Melbourne for more of that.
Yeah.
Because everyone says it's more in Melbourne.
Well, I definitely feel like there's a lot of opportunity here and it's still growing and there's lots that you can do. And so when I moved here, my intention was to create a school and to build it from there and be able, within 6 months, I was able to hit my targets, right? Yeah. But what I've seen also in that is that the music community is very close and very supportive, but there's also a lot of people of color here, which is something I didn't expect. I didn't realize that. I had no idea. And one of the things I wanted to do when I created the school was to give people of color, particularly artists, a chance to, I guess, thrive and have spaces to sing and learn lessons and, you know, do the technical stuff with the school, what the school offers. So I feel like in the last 2.5, 3 years that I've been here, it's grown massively and it's just getting better and bigger and people starting to take notice too. You know, like the Big Sounds and Brisbane, all that kind of festivals that they have every year, but every year it's getting better. You know, I mean, do you guys think that too? Have you guys seen a change?
Well, that's what I mean. I feel like personally, but I'm always interested to hear other people's perspectives because it's like ever since starting this business 3 years ago, which I suppose is interestingly enough the same time you came around. Ever since doing that, I've definitely noticed that, you know, like it kind of seemed like I'd go into the valley if one of my friends' bands was playing and you'd maybe kind of spot some like singers at a pub kind of thing, but now it's like no, when you're tapped in, there's events going, there's 100 venues in the valley where there's probably things happening every single Friday, Saturday, Sunday night kind of thing. So it's I don't, again, can't say if it's more, but it feels like it's definitely growing.
That's good.
And it's, I think, again, things like, not to toot our own horn, but things like this, if people can see it and see that it's from Brisbane, things like your school, if people can like really understand that and see that things are actually happening there, it's only going to invite more, right? Or the people that are here that aren't already engaging in it are going to start going to your school or start trying something
and
new.
Wanting to know more and wanting to support all that kind of stuff. I mean, we're here now, right? So,
that's it. It's like I kind of wonder if Melbourne's sort of inherently a bit more creative just because more's happening there, so it's just in everyone's zeitgeist a little bit more. It doesn't mean that every person there has like a creative bone in their body. No. They're maybe just more open to the creative conversation is kind of how I view it. And it sort of seems like I've always viewed Queensland/Brisbane as a bit of a tradie state. Like I've lived here for about 8 years now, but I did a year stint about 11 years ago, and everyone was just telling me to like get a trade, like become a plumber, be a sparky or something like that.
It's easy to do that.
And I think that was just really heavily promoted. I'm sure it still is in some places, but I think now kids are just maybe it's even things like the internet. People can see us like doing jobs that we've got, you know.
But they're following their dream. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Like they're actually doing stuff.
I don't think I know anyone who's a tradie in Queensland. Like it just depends who you're around. I'm not saying there's not a million.
Like we're basically tradies.
Are you guys tradies?
But to me,
basically with cameras.
Like. Oh yeah, a different kind of tradie.
But it's like people hire a plumber to fix their toilet. They hire us to film something.
Video their event.
Toilet maybe.
Yeah.
To fix their life.
That's it. Visually.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the school. So did you come here to do that? Had you had previous schooling or teaching experience in previous places, or?
Yeah, I had worked I'd worked in a music school in Sydney. And it was the best education I could have asked for. The lady that was running it was the best mentor I could have asked for as well. But unfortunately, it didn't work out in the end.
And what does this entail? Like musical theory? Are you just teaching singing?
Teaching singing.
Yep.
So it's vocal coaching. At that time, I was doing vocal coaching, and then I was the head of music, I guess, of the school. It was basically just he was the CEO, and I was like the second in charge. Basically, it was like the small school, but we expanded it really well. And then I started to create showcases and events and give opportunities with people to do workshops, and we'd have retreats, and it was a cool concept. And then unfortunately in the end it didn't work out, so I decided to branch out on my own, which was probably the biggest mistake or lesson that I've learned because I was not ready to do business. I was still wanting to be an artist and do artistry.
Two different things.
Say again?
Two very different things.
Massively different. And because of that, I made a lot of mistakes. And my brothers rescued me out of those mistakes. And still to this day, I'm still sorting out.
Like what? Without going into too much detail?
No, I'm happy to go into detail. I got nothing
owing $1 million.
Well, I definitely got into...
Is it money issues?
Yeah, it was money issues. I got into debt because I had basically gone straight into doing lessons and then trying to do artist development. And within doing the artist development, I started to get more clients wanting to do that. But I took away the bread and butter of it, which was the singing lessons. Mm-hmm. And in that was the mistake the lesson, I shouldn't say mistake, the lesson that I learned was don't take away your bread and butter, add to it. Yeah. So instead I took the ad and made that the bread and butter, and that wasn't consistent. And then that created debt for myself. Yep. And it created a big mess. And the majority of it, my brothers came and helped me out with it, which was great. I'm very grateful to them at that period of my life. And then I've been kind of just sorting it out slowly and steadily over the years. Yeah. But the lesson in that was that if you are going to do something that you love and you are passionate about, you can do that and you can be an artist, but do it with
Be smart about it.
Say again?
Be smart about it.
Be smart about it. But also ask questions and have someone assist you. Yeah. I didn't have anybody assisting me, and I just made mistake after mistake, lesson after lesson. And then I needed to take a year before I got back, or a year and a half before I got back to kind of going, okay, maybe I can try this again. Because So
did you start from scratch again?
I started from scratch again. And I went to Asia for about a year, and then I got opportunities in Bali and in Vietnam. And then from Vietnam, I got an opportunity in Berlin. So I went back to Europe, and then COVID happened. And I came back.
You actually had a pretty sick life.
Yeah, I've been very lucky. Honestly,
opportunities, you mean like what opportunities?
Music, to be an artist again. I got a chance to go and sing and film some videos and do some music stuff and writing in Berlin for 3 months.
And you must have been on cloud 9 when this is happening.
So happy. So happy because it was my family that said, like you've been in Asia for a while, you did the music school stuff, you like coaching people, you're passionate about it, maybe consider redoing that again. But for now, go back and focus on your art stuff, like be an artist, because that's where your heart is. And that will lead you to where you need to go, which it did in the end.
It's in your heart being a teacher as well?
Yeah, I love coaching and I love being an artist because the artist and the coaching kind of goes hand in hand for me now. Yeah. Because I am the example for these people when they come to the school, because they go onto my Instagram, they go onto YouTube, they go and see, oh, this guy's done stuff. Like he's traveled, he's got music stuff out, if he sings the way that he does, then I'm sure I can learn from him, and all that experience has led me to now where I am with this, and we're expanding and all that kind of stuff. So
expanding? In what ways?
We're expanding the school. I've got now a business partner. Mm-hmm. So when I came here 3 years ago, I had I had vision that by the time I was 37, which is this year, I wanted to be able to elevate the school and bring a business partner on board.
Don't people give it like 40s, 45s?
No, like we're doing it earlier. We're doing it earlier now.
And there might be nothing in it, but just small digression. What kind of things are you doing for vision? Like, are you manifesting? Are you writing down? What are you doing?
Yeah, I'm writing it down a lot. I have 2 whiteboards in my office.
Oh my gosh.
Whiteboards, man.
Apparently, like you need a whiteboard.
You need a whiteboard.
I've been saying it to him for like a year. I'm like, whenever I buy, because I've just been meaning to buy a whiteboard, but I haven't fucking done it.
You guys, I'm
just like, my life's going to change.
I will buy you a whiteboard. We've got one upstairs, actually, that's designed that I will get it for you. I cannot
and
express.
we'll credit you when we do well.
He sent me, what were you reading? Like, how to make $1 million business?
No, this guy started $1 billion business, and I flicked to a random page, and it said, you need a whiteboard.
That is your sign. That is your sign.
We should have bought it that day.
Yeah. I'm telling you, whiteboards help. And I want to get a third one, because on one I've got...
just a room of white, like in a 100%.
Like a crazy person.
Maybe we should get into a whiteboard business.
Oh my God, imagine. Is there even any money in that?
But no, it's just like you give them the cheapest whiteboards, but they have to pay you back like when they do well.
Like
you get some shares in a future company.
5%, but free whiteboards.
Ooh, okay, I'm here for that.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to buy you one, and I want interest when it goes better.
Let's do it.
But the whiteboards 100% have helped for sure. Yeah. I have two whiteboards. I have a notebook. I have 2 notebooks as well, and I have my phone. So I write everything down, whether it's what I want in relationships, what I want in work, whether it's a not-for-profit, music, everything is written down. And then I speak about it every day with my friends in my WhatsApp group, whether it's with my students, whether I'm releasing things, whatever it is, I'm constantly...
As soon as one other person knows, the wheels are kind of in motion, right?
Yeah.
Like you have to, there's some level of accountability there.
100%.
Do you change what you want all the time though? Or do you just
know? I'm super clear. Like these are the 3 things that I'm doing: music group, which is a school, I Believe in Me, which is a not-for-profit, and then being an artist. In these 3 things, they're the main thing, and then in beneath them, there's all this stuff that is going on, and there's documentary, and there's events and showcases, and being an artist and tour. There's all like that. That's the main umbrella, right? And then they have all these little, what is it, like the pyramid thing? You have like up there, and then you've got everything beneath it. What's the name
pyramid
for it?
Scheme.
It's not a pyramid scheme, but like you have umbrellas, and then you've got like underneath those umbrellas. There's a term for it. Damn it, I can't remember what it is.
To ask my high school teacher.
That's right.
Like a ladder, like a kind of a ladder.
Yeah. So I mean, it's definitely.
Someone comment. What are we talking about?
Yeah, that's right.
Comment below the answer to
that's it, right? But answer your question, we're expanding the school to Bryon Bay, and I've got a business partner on board. Wow. And that was part of the whole expanding thing. The 3rd year I wanted to expand. I got a business partner for that. And then
why Bryon Bay? Are they there, or you've got people there?
There's a huge market there for it. Yeah. Great energy. There's a good market for it. There's hardly any schools of music or...
There's not much.
Really?
No, which is crazy, right?
I thought it was like full of music and drumming.
Is it because it's quite touristy?
It's very transient. Yeah, it's very transient. But there are people that come and go, and that's the nature of a school, which is also part of it. And if you have online classes, you build relationships. It's all possible. So we've hired 3 vocal coaches there, 3 women, which are amazing, these artists, and 1 pianist, this guy who's a jazz pianist. He's amazing as well. And we've just hired another teacher here in Brisbane, and we're expanding Brisbane as well. And then eventually Gold Coast and Melbourne will be the plan.
Oh, wow.
I'm really excited.
Want to build an empire.
By when?
Excited for you.
When are those ones meant to be?
Gold Coast and Melbourne?
Yeah.
If Brisbane and Bryon Bay go well this year, then we'll look at the other 2 options, and maybe look at trying to get an investor, because if we can prove that we've done a good job.
You should do Alice Springs.
What the hell am I going to do in Alice Springs?
I'm sure they want music out there.
What the fuck is an Alice Springs for me?
I don't know. We'll have to go and check it out.
Is there any possibility in like a traveling workshop, or it can't just be like a pop-up kind of thing?
Well, because I've got my family that live between Bali and Melbourne, and there's contacts there. There would be retreats in Bali, retreats in Bali, and retreats in Bryon Bay.
Yeah.
Because Adam, who's the business partner, who's one of my best friends, lives in Bryon Bay.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's all kind of like putting the eggs in places and then watching them kind of grow. It's not eggs. What's the word? You don't put eggs and watch them grow. Seeds.
You're planting seeds.
You definitely don't put eggs and watch them grow. You eat them or they hatch.
Go back a few months later.
You never know. I mean, like eggs grow into babies eventually.
That's it. Yeah, okay, we could use the eggs. It's not far off. But seeds was a better way.
None of us had sex ed.
My analogies are off the chart.
I did not listen in sex ed. I should have listened.
Oh well, that's a conversation for another day.
Yeah, right. Another podcast.
No, we'll have to come check out the school. Like we still haven't done a job in Bryon Bay of all places. We've done all these small towns, but if you ever need a videographer down there,
yeah, you guys are hired.
Yeah, the grand opening.
Oh my god, imagine. Yeah, that would be a gala event. You can film that. But I would love to. do something along those lines. It's literally, I was there last weekend. I'm back again there tomorrow. We've got our first staff meeting with the people that we've brought on board. So I'm really excited to kind of see it grow. And a lot of my artist inspirations who have large brands that they've expanded, and you see a lot of artists doing that now, I take that as inspiration, because you get to a certain age with music where you recognize that you are an artist and you always will be, but you also have to recognize that art doesn't pay the bills, but you can do art
skills,
so you can do other things. So many, all these artists like Ariana Grande's and J-Lo's and these Kylie Minogues, all these females, particularly the female artists, they have wines, they have perfumes, they have makeup.
And sports players as well. It's like once you have a name for yourself, it's a lot easier.
That's it, right?
They probably have like business coaches around them helping
exactly, you know?
And it's also, I feel like artists / creative people, they're always going to be interested in something outside of their, like, whether if you're a singer, you might be super into fashion. So it naturally makes sense that you would go into making shoes or clothes or something like that. There's always something else or some
100%.
I'm curious, is your family like artistic as well, or are they more business minded, or neither?
My mom and my brothers run the family businesses together, and they are all
what sort of family
businessy. So my brothers, I don't know how to go into detail with this, but my middle brother started doing Airbnbs in Bali 14 years ago, and he built his now empire through that. That's and sick. They've got hotels, villas, restaurants, and all over
Bali. So do you get free accommodation?
I do, yes, thank you. You guys are welcome to come along.
Alright, I'll book my ticket today.
That's so good. So they've built that, and my brother started off by doing an Airbnb with a friend that he went to school with in Switzerland, who invested money in the Airbnb and was like, all right, why don't you try this, and I'll just invest some money. My brother had no money at the time, and he just kind of built it. Then he tried a second Airbnb. Then my parents got involved, and they had a fourth Airbnb. Then my parents got business partners on board, and then it just grew. And now, like, I don't want to go into detail and boast about my family, because I feel like that's the wrong thing to do, but I'm so proud of them. They're like expanding to Vietnam, and they're doing Singapore and Sydney and Hong Kong, and
that's why you've got such big visions, because you're seeing them do it,
because I see them do it. My brothers have been such a great example, and I don't say this to them enough, so I hope they get to see this. Which camera should I look at? I hope they get to see this, but I'm so inspired by what they've created. So as an artist, I've kind of taken my art and put the entrepreneurship and the business stuff together. And now I'm trying to do the same. They're 14 years in. I'm my third year in. So I've got a lot of work ahead of me, but it's really inspiring.
What are some changes that you have to make to start making money and have that entrepreneurial mindset?
Not just think like an artist. That's the first thing, because we're so creative, right?
Stop being an artist.
Well, I don't know about I don't think I'll ever stop being an artist, but I think stop thinking like an artist. Like, I just want to go and sing, or I just want to go on tour. And, it's like in the long run, that's not going to work. You can't just be a poor artist.
We understand that.
You guys get that.
Yeah, we need to get corporate jobs. It pays well. All right, let's go look for them. And then we start emailing music festivals.
And it's possible, right? Because then you invest your money in the quality of your products. Look at what's all around us now, right? And look at what you guys are creating. It'll only get bigger and better and better. Like, you guys have been on my radar for the last couple of months, but now I'm speaking to you, but now I'm telling other people about you, and it's just gonna transcend, because the quality of your work and the quality of your content is what it's all about. And you've invested into it, and that's the same thing with me. I'm investing into all of the stuff that I'm doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like this is becoming an Oprah chat. I'm like, where's John Travolta? Do you guys get that reference? Because she says
the Travolta one.
No.
When I think of Oprah, I think of Tom Cruise jumping on the couch.
Tom Cruise.
Or just everyone like, you get a whatever.
Car.
You get a...
I reckon we'll ever get Oprah on the show.
I hope so.
You know what? Put it out there.
Yeah.
Put it out there.
Next episode.
We'll get a whiteboard, and every episode we'll write a new crazy guest.
You guys should get a whiteboard in the back. 100%. You should. Who's your
It'd be
dream?
cool as to get like everybody's signature on it, but eventually that'll all rub off, wouldn't they? So we should get like a permanent. That'd be a pretty cool.
You should,
idea.
like a blanket.
Wall. Yeah. And everyone signs it.
Blanket.
Like a Dojo Media Show logo. Maybe.
Who would be your dream guest, the two of you, other than myself? Who would be your dream guest?
Didn't we just talk about getting Eminem on?
Oh my God, imagine.
Well, yeah, it's kind of like to fit in with the niche of like, okay, is it just dream person I want to talk to, or dream to sort of fit in with our creative entrepreneurial
Both.
niche? Do you have an answer first?
The first person who came to my mind, it's not the exact person, but Russell Brand.
Oh wow! Do you know what?
It's
you
not
could
my
probably
dream,
that.
but he would be pretty cool.
He'd
such
have
a smart
so
guy.
much to say.
He has so many stories of his life.
Yeah.
Stories.
Yeah, he seems quite enlightened too.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Very enlightened.
I want to get spiritual people on for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, damn. I'll get back to you on the at the end of the episode. For that
I'm
one.
curious to know.
Ed Sheeran.
Oh yeah, why Ed Sheeran?
I don't know. He'd just be cool. He was homeless for a while.
He has a great
He
story.
has a good story, yeah. And he could sing us a song.
You guys should add music into your, like, have someone do a performance.
Do you want to do a mini performance?
Not right now.
We kind of considered doing that at one point, but it sort of clashed with some other things that were going on in the venue.
One of the other ideas was to like bring you pick out your favorite record and show it on the.
Yeah, that's cool.
That could be cool too.
Yeah.
But then we also thought like copyright issues. We can't actually play that anyway. Like,
yeah,
because you came in looking for Aaliyah, Whitney Houston. Like we can't play.
Yeah, I'm like, where's Aaliyah and Whitney Houston?
We wouldn't be able to play any of that on YouTube, unfortunately. But,
that's fair enough.
Who would you want to do a duet with?
Sade. I'm a huge Sade fan. I've banked a lot of my music from like after her.
Yeah.
And George Michael. I loved George Michael. I love George Michael. Obviously, he's passed. Yeah. Whitney Houston is a big inspiration. But who I'd like to sing with probably Sade and Aaliyah. I love Aaliyah. And even to this day, like she's still such a trendsetter, which is wild because she died when she was 22, 23 years ago or something.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That is
insane. You know? Yeah, just those two, I'd say.
Nice.
I think I've decided mine would actually be Tom York, the lead singer of Radiohead.
Cool.
Would probably fit both because musical genius.
Yeah.
But I also found out like a year ago that Radiohead are just business moguls. They are
really
like each of them are just loaded. Just because they've set up so many great businesses, like they own all their catalog too. So obviously they make money from that.
I love that.
Yeah, they're pretty unassuming, but yeah. So that'd be. Also, the fact that like they're all quite reclusive, so it'd be cool to get that kind of person on for a chat. So that'd be amazing.
It'd be cool to get like a famous film director like Scorsese or Tarantino or something.
Yeah, Spike Jones. I'd love.
I'd
love Spike Jones.
Yeah.
Spike Lee, Charlie Kaufman.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, where's that whiteboard? You guys need to write this down. Speak it into existence.
Yeah. I've got a small. Does it have to be a really big whiteboard?
No, yeah, bigger the better.
But I mean, whatever works.
Bigger the whiteboard, right?
This is true. My one's really big. It goes from up there, like.
Yeah, but you're gonna have the whole.
It's like a flex.
A whiteboard room.
But sorry to interrupt, but I'm keen to get back onto Music Roof a little bit.
Yeah.
So tell us exactly what's kind of going on inside the walls at the moment. So before we started recording, you mentioned, so you obviously teach singing. Mm-hmm. You also mentioned you're teaching branding.
Yeah.
Is that part of Music Roof as well?
Yeah. What happens in the walls of Music Roof? So I'm part of...
the walls of Music Roof. That's a good one.
The walls of Music Roof?
The roof.
Say again.
It's like a room.
Oh,
the roof. The walls
like what? Yeah, that's right. I'm part of the Arts Hub, which is Vent Space, which you guys know of, right?
Yep.
So Music Roof is part of Vent Space in the sense that my school is situated in there, so we use their space a lot. What happens in Music Roof is we predominantly do vocal coaching, and we have solo classes, group classes, duo classes. We have showcase events every month, and then every alternative month we have showcases with live musicians, which is really cool. So I have a list of live musicians that we work with. We also have workshops every couple months, whether it's a recording workshop, whether it's a dance workshop, something that gives the students and the singers a chance to experience something different, or we'll bring someone in to do the workshop, which is cool. Mm-hmm. So as far as what we provide, it's basically a safe space for up and coming singers and people who want to just sing for themselves and have a safe space. Yeah, beginners as well. Yeah. Like I have people who come there and they just want to get better at karaoke, and they come every 2 weeks.
Really?
Yeah, and it's just that space for them.
I think I need to do that.
Welcome to come anytime. Lessons on me. Come both of you can come anytime you want.
I don't want to hurt everyone's ears.
Well, it's soundproof in the room, so you'll be fine. But yeah, it's pretty much that. And
does everyone have potential with music? Or can some people just not get better?
Do you know when I first started coaching, like in Sydney in 2014, like I used to think either you can sing or you can't. But I learned that everybody, like you can play tennis, you can learn the skill. It's the same thing with singing.
I once met a girl who was like fluent in reading music and could play piano, but she was tone deaf.
Interesting.
Like, okay, there you go. Like, so you don't.
She could play piano and she could read music.
Yeah.
But she was tone deaf.
Yeah.
But you know what? She'd be easier for her to become not become tone deaf because she already has the piano in there. So if she was tested, which I've had a few people like that.
It's like she knows what it's meant to sound like, but can't hear it. Yeah. Oddly enough.
Yeah. I send her my way. What's her details? I will sort this out. Was she a good piano player at least?
I didn't actually hear it, so she could totally be lying. But
oh, so does she even exist? Is this a real person?
She goes to another school.
Was this in your imagination?
Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of pretty much what happens.
That's cool. I'd love to hear about the stuff you do in the schools as well. That sounds really interesting.
As in, like, what we do within the school?
Yeah. No, like the schools that you go out to. Don't you teach at different schools?
No, they all come to me. So the music roof is a school itself, and then we want to eventually do some workshops in schools with Janae and Renee, the duo that I'm working with.
The names go together.
Yeah, Janae and Renee and Siki, like it's such a random trio. But the three of us will be doing workshops in schools later this year. But that's to do with self-love and self-belief and teaching kids how to find that. And that's amazing. To do with my not-for-profit, which is a separate kind of organization.
Can we talk about that?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it sounds like that's a big culmination of basically your whole journey.
Yeah.
From personal, creative to entrepreneurial. Yeah. So what exactly is this?
That's actually a very good point, because when you think about it, it all leads back to the first topic we started with, the idol thing and all that, and being a kid, is having that self-love, that self-belief, because it's been constantly challenged throughout, from 13 until recently. So it's the not-for-profit actually started, if you look behind us, there's Brandy right there. So it started because of Brandy, which is, you're going to be like, what the fuck is he talking about? So indulge me for 1 second. So Brandy is one of my favorite artists and singers, and I love her music. I have for a long time. When I was in London in 2017, I was walking in Soho, and there was this bookstore that had these people of color on it, and it was for kids. It was like a book called Little People, Big Dreams, and there were little brown and black figures that were artists, like Ella Fitzgerald, which is also behind us, Maya Angelou and Martin Luther King, and then there was like Frida Kahlo and all these pioneers and figures of their work that had been illustrated and portrayed in kids' books. And I was so inspired by that. I was like, how did I not have that growing up? Why is that coming out now? Right? So I went back, was inspired by the whole thing, and a couple years later, I ended up deciding to create this series of book called I Believe in Me Like. So it's I Believe in Me Like Brandy. So that was the first one. And then there's another one that's called I Believe in Me Like J-Lo. I Believe in Me Like, whoever it was. And so we ended up commissioning these girls via Instagram who were illustrators, but from each of the same culture of the women that we were talking about. Yeah, and it's all about women of color. So we had a Colombian illustrator for J-Lo, a black girl from Washington that did Brandy, a Kenyan girl for Lupita Nyong'o. So it all matched, and we wanted to give them the opportunity to show their art as well.
That's really good.
So it started from that, and then it was called I Believe in Me Like, and we started with Brandy. We created and printed a whole bunch of them, and then we got Brandy to endorse the book, which was crazy. So if you check my Instagram, Brandy follows me on Instagram. I hope everyone's hearing this correctly. Brandy follows me on Instagram, which was a huge deal. I was like, how did that happen? I hope to God she still follows. And she didn't unfollow me. Let's just clarify.
Read the book and was like, oh no, not like Brandy.
That's right.
No, I'm sure she loved it.
Yeah, right. So
that's probably something you never thought you would do.
Yeah.
Ever. Never. Yeah. Who'd ever think that your childhood hero in music would be interested in embracing you and thanking you for the book that you wrote about her? So we did a really good marketing campaign when the book came out. It was her birthday, and it was Whitney Houston and her were getting the Disney Cinderella was getting put onto Disney Plus.
Yep.
And that whole week we knew it was coming, so we released the book at the same time, tagged all of her fan bases, got all of her fan bases and sent them the book as well, got them to message her, did this whole cross promotion thing, and eventually she came to my page, she commented on it, and that's now framed in my office now, that whole Instagram comment. And then she embraced the book, and she then shared it and posted it, and then we spoke to her a couple times, and it's there now, which is amazing. And that was the biggest endorsement that someone that you admire, someone's story that you've written for kids, wants to embrace you.
That shows a lot of persistence.
Yeah.
You just looked at one store and you did all this.
But see where you can find inspiration, right? Yeah. It's amazing. So that sparked the book then that led to now what has become the organization, which is called I Believe in Me, which is where Janae and Renee come in on the aspect of the workshops, because I wanted to branch it as an organization where we have fundraising. We just raised $1,724 via Instagram and GoFundMe from all my Instagram followers, which was amazing, and some of my students, just to raise money to bring books to specific developing communities around the world. We've got a scholarship program now in Indonesia with the Institution of Arts, and we had our first recipient last year where we paid for her last semester to study documentary filmmaking, which was pretty amazing. And then we've got the fundraiser that's happening again this year. We're taking books again later in the year to either Bali or Philippines. We've got the documentary coming out. So that book, right, started this whole organization.
Did you always want to work in non-for-profits?
Yeah, that's eventually what I want to do, is lead towards being an artist and doing not-for-profit and work in music.
Like, from what age did you know that you wanted to do that?
Ever since I knew that there was no representation with me for me growing up, and I looked to a lot of African American and Black artists, I realized that change of having representation for other kids like me here was important. And then the not-for-profit stuff started from there, because if I didn't have access to it, how are these other kids in developing communities, particularly girls, have access to it? Because the girls always get left behind, particularly in developing communities, right? Like, oh, you can just work at a 7-Eleven, or you can just work for a wealthier family at a hotel, or whatever it is. That's always the case. They don't given opportunities to dream big and not shown. You can be a CEO. You can be a doctor. You can do all that kind of stuff. Like, look at these examples, you know?
So we always hear like this magical story, like, you hear a lot of different ones of people who made it out and are doing those big things, but you don't know about the hundreds of millions that never had that opportunity. They're so talented. So I love that you're doing that. Yeah,
it's important, you know? Like, I really feel like with everything that I'm trying to do, it's important to be of service. And I feel like RuPaul said this statement when he was on Oprah.
Oh, let's get RuPaul on.
Yeah, that'd be a crazy
whiteboard. Telling you, get that whiteboard.
A double on RuPaul and Oprah.
Yeah, oh my God, imagine. That would be a dream.
We wouldn't be able to say anything.
Would you want him like in drag on the show, or just normal?
Half and half.
Yeah, just one side.
One side. I meant like half the episode in.
Right? RuPaul said on Oprah, and I've never forgotten this. He said, the key to happiness is of being of service to others. And I think that's so true. Because what's better than waking up every single morning and being, I get to help someone find their voice today. I get to be able to pay for someone to go to school, or like,
you literally help them find their voice.
Yeah, literally. It
sounds like your dream is helping people achieve their dreams.
100%.
Or helping people follow their dream.
In all aspects, whether it's being someone looking at the songs that are coming out.
Why does that inspire you so much?
Why does it inspire me to help people?
Yeah.
Because, well, I'll like really make it so clear, because I, as a brown kid, have had the utmost privilege being from where I come from, a third world country, developing country, I have had access to privilege my whole life. And in that country, in Pakistan, it's 98% poverty. And then there's like that 1%, or I should say 95% poverty. There's like 5% that are born into wealth or from landowners, and
the ones that have it good have it really good. Like the Pakistanis I've met that are doing well, like going to the best unis and everything.
100%. My cousins, my family, my uncle, my aunties were all so privileged. But when you go beyond those gates and you go beyond, you know, the driver and the cook and all the access that you have, there's so much poverty around you.
It's amazing that you paid attention to that.
100%.
A lot of people.
What drew your attention to it? Did you have friends in these impoverished communities? Could you just see it?
I feel like it must have been that artistic sense and that, like, you know, like vulnerability.
I think when you're just exposed to it at a young age and you recognize like, you're getting into this fancy car with your driver, and then you have a gatekeeper. But when the gatekeeper's opening the gate and you're stopping at the traffic light in your fancy car, there's all these beggars out there that look just like you.
But a lot of people grow up like that and they don't see it.
They don't see it.
I've spoken to a lot of people and they just don't see the poverty.
And it's so important for people to see that, because when you're given privilege continually your whole life.
I think even in Australia, a lot of people walk past homeless people and don't even notice them.
Massively. I feel like the only difference here, and I don't want to get cancelled for this, but the difference here is that
no cancelling, guys.
Yeah, please, no cancel culture. The difference here is that people have access to stuff like Centrelink. You do have, and yes, mental health does play a part, and not everybody homeless is going to think like that. But the difference is in those countries, you don't have that. You don't have access to those means to assist you. You don't have any of that. And then you have the slums and you have the villages, and it's like even more difficult. And people are getting child brides, and like it's just it's insane, the kind of stuff that they're dealing with.
It's hard for us to even fathom.
Yeah, it's hard to fathom unless you've been exposed to it or you've seen it. So that's probably where my drive comes from the most, is from having the access that I've had my whole life, but knowing where I come from. You know, and that's really important. Being educated in the West and growing up in the East. Sorry, being from the East and being educated and growing up in the West. It's important that you put those two together and then you give back wherever you can. Yeah. So that's where the life of service and purpose comes from for me.
Are any of the projects already based there, or was that like a plan one day?
In Pakistan?
Yeah.
One of the first fundraising events I did at that school I used to work for in Sydney was I raised money to take a bunch of food packages and food boxes to the slums of Pakistan. So I did a concert at that school, and that also sparked like a bit of a journey with this kind of stuff. So I've done one thing there. I've documented. I took my own little camera, my friend's camera, and I documented the whole thing, and we created this thing to put up online. And that was the beginning of documenting all, whenever we went for orphanages or when we did collaborations with people, we're donating stuff, we would document it. Because you want to show people what they paid money for, what we're doing.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, there's a certain amount of people that just go out and do it for the videos. Yeah. I'm sure you weren't doing that.
No, but a lot of people do that, but I want people to see. Because you can donate to me on GoFundMe and whatever. And
I think if you film for the right reasons, there's nothing wrong with it at all.
It's important to show their stories. As filmmakers, you guys know this. It's storytelling is through the visuals, you know? So
that's what I want to get into. What's really admirable about you, man, is like, well, let me start about me. Not what's admirable about me, but something that I deal with, right?
Yeah.
A little bit of imposter syndrome from time to time due to the fact that I'm a creative. And it's because sometimes I'm like, I'm not a doctor. I'm not helping people's lives, right? That's a bad way to think, because there are ways that we can change people's lives as a creative, and you're doing that. That's your mission.
Thank you.
That's so admirable. Like it's thinking outside the box in ways that you can help people as well. Like it's not just it's not just like taking the money from a show and giving it to a beggar kind of thing. Like you're putting a performance together for a specific reason too, and that's super admirable.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. But I just want to put that back onto you guys, that if you weren't here, I wouldn't be able to tell the story. So what you guys are doing in turn, and not to be like, you're amazing, I'm amazing. It's not about that.
High five.
But high fives in the air. I appreciate you saying that. But the truth is that if you guys weren't here doing the quality of work that you do, I wouldn't have the chance to be able to speak about this. And this is, it is a beginning of a new journey for me, but it's the same thing for you guys. You guys are telling people stories.
This is kind of like on a smaller scale, like a dream of what both of us want to do.
It's
give a voice and tell stories of people that don't get to.
Yeah.
And I do find that a lot of documentaries are people coming into other countries and talking about it themselves. Yeah. Instead of actually letting those people talk for themselves.
Yeah, 100%. And I'll tell you guys will blow up at one point. You've just started, it's 6 months in and look what you've done.
No, so it's super. Like even on top of giving people a platform, like even just the engaging conversations we get to have, like with people like yourself, and we learn so much from every single conversation we have as well. Like it's I hope people listening.
There's a little bit of that feeling of like, I want it to get a lot of views and grow, but it's just fun. Like, I'm just enjoying it. I'm having a good time.
That's how I feel now with music. Like, even releasing stuff tomorrow, like I've got no PR company on board. I've done no music video. I basically just in my mind, I was like, I just want to release this song to be then done from it, because I've had it with me for almost 2 years, right? I wanted to get it out and be brave enough to even just tell that story, and then have the other one come out and just be happy that I'm able to inspire people. I don't necessarily do it anymore for the fact that we're going to make money or anything from it. It's more now, I hope it inspires you. And then there's some PR aspects to it that I'd like to do, but it's more of like, if it's organically going to get where it needs to get, yes, I will be smart about some PR, but the organic part will be most of it, And
I also enjoy like the authentic feeling of being able to live as a creative, if that makes sense. Once you, even with this podcast, I suppose, we can kind of walk in now, we set it up, we kind of we fall into the groove of a conversation, whereas the first few weeks, I guess it felt a little bit more manufactured. We didn't really know what we were doing, a little bit more awkward at times. And I guess like that with anything, I guess you must have that as an artist. Once you feel like you've written a song that's you, it feels like you, it feels from your heart, you've released it, it's in the world. You can now walk around as that version of you instead of the version of you that's repressing something else.
100%. What's the most satisfying thing about releasing your music? Is it like one person you've never met and spoken to appreciating it, or is there something you just love?
I think it's like therapy, right? Like, because you're, like you said, why now when I had it at 19, right? So it's like a way of being relieved from certain feelings and thoughts and lyrics and stuff that you want to say. So it's through music. Yeah. And so you're in a space where you can, it's kind of therapeutic, but then you hope it inspires other people. But to be honest, like I actually got this, again, I have all these quotes from these famous people, but Aaliyah said before she passed that I make music for myself and then I make it for my fans. But if I don't love it and I don't enjoy it and I don't love listening to it, I'm not going to put it out. So I have to love it and love my music and my voice and my stuff first. And then I hope it inspires people.
You have to sing it 1,000,000 times. So if you don't like it, it's torture.
That's it. You want to inspire yourself in some ways too, and be like, I did that and that's great.
Have you ever had to sing a song you just hate?
Yeah.
On Australian
Idol. I hated it afterwards. Say again?
On Australian Idol.
No, I love Norah Jones. I love that song. I actually wrote the most horrific song called Skype Love.
Skype? Back in the Skype
Did you fall in love over Skype?
No, it was about my housemate in London, and my roommate, and my producer, my music producer on my first album, Michael, who lives up in Sunshine Coast now. He and I wrote the song, but it's so bad. It's so bad. He knows this. I've told him 100 times. I said it to him before. This is the worst song we've ever done.
Can you sing a few lines?
Absolutely not. You have to pay me for that. Do not listen to Skype Love, please.
What if you're huge one day playing to a crowd of like 50,000 people and they just start chanting Skype? Would you drop it then?
I'm okay with that. Yeah, I'm so okay with that.
What's coming next? Snapchat love or TikTok?
Oh my God, Snapchat love. Facebook love. You can just put anything and then put love at the end of it.
Snapchat could be risky though because it like disappears.
Yeah.
You could talk about how it's dwindling.
That's a good. Oh, I'm taking that. Snapchat love.
Whiteboard it, I'll take the shit.
Where's that whiteboard? Yeah. Too funny.
What's the inspiration for the hat? Is that your style? Is that like a European style, or is that an artist thing? I always imagine someone like painting with wine with those hats.
Because it's French. No inspiration. I think I learned from the past that style is pretty important, but it has to represent yourself. So I wear singlets all the time, and it's really hot, so I don't know why I'm wearing a jacket, but it worked for the
Show
outfit.
off that happy face.
Yeah, that's right. Can we see the smiling
like the happy
face?
Yeah.
I'm shedding. My beard's shedding on my smiling face. Can't even see it. But yeah, the hat, I love berets. I love France, so I love represents, I guess. Yeah.
How many countries have you lived in? If you can think about it, you've lived in a lot.
Yeah.
I want to live outside of Australia.
Have you guys lived out of Australia?
He's from New Zealand.
You're from New Zealand. Yeah. Have you lived anywhere other than New Zealand?
No.
Ever wanted to, either of you?
Yeah, absolutely.
My whole life. Yeah.
Where would be a go-to for you guys?
I really wanted to go to America for the industry.
Oh, yeah.
A few reasons. I'm dating a teacher now, so I don't really want a teacher in America, considering there's shootings there every day.
Yeah.
And healthcare, all that jazz. All the reasons people don't want to go to America, I'm kind of a little iffy about it. Other than that, like England/Europe, somewhere there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Europe's amazing.
Like Amsterdam.
But the only thing is, like, we have a different quality of life here. We really have it good on every level. Healthcare, life, quality of life.
I don't know if any of you are subscribed to Quora Digest, but it's like the modern day Yahoo Answers, and they email you every day of just like some people will be asking crazy stuff like, my meth addicted husband cheated on me, what do I do?
Oh God.
And sometimes it's just like, I'm from the UK, I want to move to Australia, which one's better? So I like those ones.
The meth one sounds interesting.
Sometimes they're so juicy, but just the end, like most people do say that. Like the quality of life here, like minimum wage is way higher.
I hear all the time these days,
places.
like Australia's going down the sink, like Queensland, this and that. It's like everything may not be exactly how you want, but it's a good country. Like, you can't really complain.
True.
Like,
we're very lucky.
Yeah.
When I went to England the first time to live, it was £6 an hour to work in hospitality, to be a waiter.
There's so many opportunities if you go for them.
Yeah.
They don't always just come to you.
Massively. That's why working £6 an hour is fine if you're there for a different purpose, because you're just surviving for that stuff, right? But you're doing arts and whatever, it's cool. But £6 is like $10. Yeah. So imagine at 23, 24 making like $10.
Yeah. You know? There's definitely an element of, in Australia, while yes, it's harder to get exposure exposure, there's also much less competition. So I don't exactly know how that balances out, like whether you'd rather be the small fish in the big pond or the big fish in the small pond kind of thing. But there is that too. So I don't know exactly, again, whether it actually weighs to be equal, not too sure. But
I think either way you have to work very hard. And that's changed a lot too, because now artists have become content creators, right? And you don't have the label anymore. You just have artists being content creators and then directly getting to the fans. And the fans either take it on or they don't. Yeah. But then if fans take it on, then labels kind of come on board and go, oh, they're making good, they've done all the work. Let me just take them on board.
We're definitely moving into a world where like the general public's perception is becoming much more important than like critics, and important to whoever you ask, obviously, but like the numbers reflect that it's
massively.
It's the people.
It makes a huge difference, I think. Yeah.
It's like even every bit of a tangent now, but like there's never an Oscar winning movie that like makes money at the box office kind of thing. Like all those movies always don't perform. So it's like, it's pretty clear that what the people want to see, even if it is things like Marvel or Avengers and that kind of thing, that's what people are driving to.
That's very true. Actually, Helen Mirren, another famous quote, Helen Mirren was doing an interview the other day and someone said, were you disappointed that Barbie didn't get nominated for Oscar Best Picture or whatever, or Margot Robbie wasn't nominated? And she said, do you remember who won Best Picture last year or the year before?
I do, because I'm into it, but yeah, most people.
Do you actually remember?
Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Oh yeah, and the year before that? So that was her point.
Or was that a few?
No, that was a few years
like
ago.
10 years.
What was it the year before that? La La Land? No.
That
was ages ago.
That was the one that lost to Moonlight.
Oh yeah, Moonlight.
Yeah.
Anyway, so see, we don't know that, and she was trying to make a point. She goes, Barbie beat everything out.
Power of the Dog. Power of the Dog was nominated.
Never heard of that before.
Parasite.
Parasite, yeah.
But see, it took us a second.
Korean movies are doing well. Shout out to Korea.
Very much so, actually. But she was saying, you don't remember, do you remember? And the interview was like, no. And she goes, in the year before that or something? She was, no. And she goes, well, for the fact that Barbie caned it at the box office for the last year is more what we will remember and more what we're talking about, not the best picture.
100%.
So I think that makes a big difference too.
In terms of artistry and marketing, Barbie fucking killed it.
Oh my God, the best.
But they also had the best budget for it.
Yeah, but they did so good. But also Margot Robbie is extremely smart. I think she's so clever and so brilliant in everything that she's doing. Do you guys know she was a producer on Saltburn?
Yeah.
Yeah, how brilliant is that? Not many people know. Do you guys see the movie, Saltburn?
I haven't yet, but I've heard
great things. Watch it.
Yeah.
It is really whack. It is so whack.
Yeah, I've heard the bathtub scene, whatever that means, is a bit whack. But
there's some really interesting scenes. There's a few. Yeah.
There was an interesting topic that you sort of discussed wanting to bring up with Raph, and that's the Me Too topic.
Yeah.
How does that affect you?
Good question. It's a very interesting story because the second verse of Not Your Idol, the song that's coming out tomorrow, I keep shamelessly plugging that song, by the way, but the second verse of the song talks about what had happened in that situation that kind of happened, without naming names, because I will obviously get in trouble if I name any names, so I'm not going to bring anyone name into this, but in 2015 or 14, when I'd gotten back from Europe the first time, I had got the opportunity to meet one of the biggest music managers in Australia, who was managing 3 of the biggest acts at the time. And you guys, whoever's watching, can do the math on that. But I got a chance to get his details, and I wanted to be able to sell one of my songs to his artists. I'm trying to be very careful that I don't say anybody's name in this.
It's not Harvey Weinstein.
Could you imagine? All these years, we didn't even know. Long story short, after a couple of months going back and forth in email, after basically like stalking him to get him to listen to these songs so I can give it to one of his artists, he invited me to come to the casino in Sydney. And there was, for one of these major record labels, they were having a huge soiree for all their staff. And the artists and stuff were all singing. And it was the casino, well, not Crown Casino. What's the one in Sydney. What's it called?
I think it is Crown, isn't it?
No, that's
Is it Crown? The Crown's one in Melbourne.
They only just opened Crown in Sydney.
The
Star?
Star Casino.
I think
I'm pretty sure it's Star.
No, Star's Gold Coast. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Well, anyway, the casino in Sydney, Piedmont or whatever, it's around there. Yeah. So he invited me to come and speak to him because he responded to my email finally, and he said, "Come and sit down and talk to me about the song." And just ask me reception. I'll come down and meet you. And I said, cool, no worries. Now, at this point, I have not thought anything of what this person's intentions would have been, right? So he obviously knew that I was gay, that I'm gay, and he is also a gay man. And so I don't know if this is going to give anything away, but whatever. Yeah. He invited me to meet him there. I asked for his reception. He came down. Why don't you come upstairs and we can talk about the song ideas you have? And I was like, why don't we just sit over here and we can have the conversation? And he then goes, it's okay. Why don't you just come up and we can talk about it there? And I had my CD, right? I had a CD with me and a USB for him. And I'd also send him stuff as well. Yeah. So he took me upstairs. I was like, okay, cool. I'm not going to think anything of it. Like, what's this guy going to do? Like, he's going to do anything. I'm literally music minded. And I guess this is also how these girls in these situations have felt. Like, if anybody's had a situation like that.
I think it happens to a lot of guys too.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of guys have been through that too, where they've just not thought that the person's intentions is malice like that, right? Yeah. So I went upstairs. I sat down. The bed was here, and then there was like a little ottoman thing in front of the bed. And I sat in front of the I sat on the ottoman thing, and then I said, "Hey, so I'm really keen to talk to you about my song, Just Don't Cry, and I think that it's a really great song for your artist." And he goes, "Yeah, cool." And then he goes to get a drink from the bar. And he gets a drink. He goes, "Do you want a drink?" And I said, "No, I'm okay. I know you don't have much time, so I just want to talk to you about this, and I know you got to go." And then he goes, this is the one thing I will never forget, where I realized something is like about to go down here. And if it's about to go down, I need to think strategically.
Sometimes you can just feel it, right?
Yeah, you just know it, because when he said this next line, I was like, okay, I see what he's going to do. But, and I just want to say this, he's not a very big man, so he couldn't have really done too much, but it was the intention about what he was trying to do. Yeah. And he comes right next to me.
But I think when you're like shocked like that, you don't even know what to do.
You just don't even know what to react. Right? You just have
react.
No idea. He sat next to me on the ottoman thingy. He puts his hand on my leg and he goes, "Do you know I've never asked anybody for sexual favors to get them to where they need to go?" It was blatant, straight up in my face. Yeah. I was like, huh?
How the fuck do I respond to
I was like, what? I said,
there's a first for everything he says.
Yeah, right? Yeah. And I just looked at him and I said, "Oh, so did you get a chance?" And I'm like stumbling my words. Did you get a chance to listen to the songs? And he goes, "Yeah, like no one's actually ever really done that for me." And he's sitting next to me with his hand on my lap, and I'm like, oh, Jesus. Yeah. So I quickly got up and I said, thank you so much for your time. I'm just going to leave this here for you. And if there's any chance for you to do something, I'd really appreciate it. And I'll email you and we can have a conversation further and, take it from there. And I'm like super nervous trying to figure out, what is this guy going to do? Is he going to lock me in the room? Like, what's going to happen? And I kind of bolted out of there. Yeah. I said, thanks so much. And I'll speak to you soon. And, that was it. And, there've been a lot of people who've had a lot worse situations than that. So when I say it's a Me Too moment, it's a moment where I've dealt with someone who is in a real position of power that was only willing to give me their time because they thought that they would get something out of it. I
don't think you even have to say that, because like you were uncomfortable and you shouldn't be like, it's just, it's no justification.
Yeah, it was obviously an inappropriate position to be put in, but it's obvious. It sounds like it obviously gave you a lot of perspective too.
Massively.
If you were someone else, whether maybe he was like a physically imposing guy, or whether you were maybe.
Or what if he like slipped a drug in your drink?
Yeah,
if I'd taken a drink, anything like that. And I'll never forget this, because the first time I'd met him was in another venue through a couple other people as well. And I never forgot this. He said to me straight up, which is how he kind of got me into going, oh, this guy's going to give me a chance. He said, people from your culture and where you're from are the next best thing. I never forgot that.
So he obviously had a fetish.
He had something in there that kind of made me go, well, if he thinks that my people and people who look like me are going to be the next, this guy believes in what I'm going to do. This guy believes in what's possible for me. Little did I know his intention like that.
That's him planting seeds
to a naive, and I shouldn't have been that naive, because I'd experienced stuff, but not on that level. So I've never spoken about this really in detail.
That's actually
you guys are the first.
That's crazy. Like
whack.
It's a big story, and like a lot of people have had these experiences, but you would never know
No.
You never know.
People
How many
are afraid to
people
talk
have
about
you've
it.
told? Like 3 or 4 people? Or
I've told
much,
a couple people
not much.
from who are my close friends. And
not
my
like
mom.
a proper audience though.
No, I've never said this on camera. I've never spoken to anybody about
not
this.
to put them on blast, but did you say you'd heard other stories of similar incidences with this person, or did you say that? Or did I make
let's just say the person who he was managing fired him a couple years later.
That's right.
You know, the main artist that is like one of the biggest ones in Australia, and there were rumors of stuff that had things here and there that I had heard in passing.
It maybe just clicked.
Huh?
It might have just clicked.
But yeah, you know, it's nice to be able to actually finally say something and talk about it.
Yeah.
And to be able to now let it out in song.
Yeah.
But like, I think now I'm done with that. You know, there's nothing more left to say. I just hope nobody else
glad you got to
experienced
say that. Cause
yeah. So thank you for letting me speak about that, because I really have not
Yeah.
said anything. It's a very strange thing because you don't hear many guys talk about it. You hear a lot of girls speak about this kind of stuff, but being a gay guy and the gay world being very, very like overly sexualized, it is very normal for us to be in kind of like.
There's that thing of like, if you're gay, like you don't care as much who you sleep with.
Yeah, that's right. You know,
which is not true.
Yeah, massively. And I think there's a lot of stuff like that in our community and stuff, but I think it's just not spoken of on platforms like this, that when it's put in a derogatory kind of situation.
I think it also happens to straight people as well.
Yeah, massively.
But it's like, even, I don't know, for whatever reason, but do you remember like Shia LaBeouf came out a few years ago saying that he was abused, and like
I remember
the whole
this.
internet was just like, shut up, you're a guy. And it's like,
nah,
like
that's
not
like
how
that.
it works.
Yeah.
I think, we can't just move on. Got to give credit to this
story.
Massively. This is a big thing.
Have you guys ever had experiences like that you want to share?
Yeah, sort of.
You have?
Not exactly like that, but yeah.
Not what, like was it for anything though? Was it just a guy being creepy? Was he trying to give you work, or?
Well, it was a weird experience. It was like at a meditation retreat.
No way.
Yeah, I'm a nice person. I just kept smiling at this guy, and I didn't have any idea like how he was taking it.
His intention.
Yeah, not at all. And then he's like, "Come to my room" and stuff. And that's all I'm gonna say of the story.
Oh no way!
But, yeah, I just didn't think that anything at all. And then it was a bit weird. And I was like, and it was at my grandma's place as well. I was like, why the fuck would you do this?
Jesus.
When my family's around. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that
honestly,
you went through that.
I have nothing like that, but I do remember. And this doesn't affect me whatsoever. But I just remember the first night I went out after I turned 18, got into a cab, went into Takapuna, which is in New Zealand, like where people go out. Literally take one step out of a cab, a guy puts his arm around me and she's like, "Where are you going tonight?"
Oh God.
I was just like, damn, this is the first time I've been out. Going out is crazy.
You were 18? Yeah. Oh my God.
And
were
I
you
just like, I had
traumatized
a whole bottle of wine and I was like drinking straight from the bottle. And I just remember being like, "Not with you, sorry, man."
Poor guy, he was rejected.
Yeah. I feel like we both probably handled as well as we probably could have in that scenario though.
Well, I'm sorry on behalf of the gays that they were like that.
Yeah. Actually, there have been, because I've been at like Sporties in the Valley, and there's been some pretty predatorial behavior there. Like guys have blocked me from getting into the bathroom and that kind of thing.
Why?
Because they're flirting with me, I guess. Like,
oh, they blocked you from going into the bathroom?
Yeah. Or like, I'm trying to go to the bathroom. They're like standing in the way to,
Jeez.
come in with me or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, look, it's kind of, you're a few drinks deep and it's like, it's all in good fun, but it's kind of like, that can definitely be taken the wrong way. I
hate that.
Even on their part, what if I was a really aggressive guy and just like flipped out on them? So it's like, you got to think about it on both sides. Like,
100%.
Don't just approach people with this really boisterous attitude.
Yeah.
And also on the
but if you think about it, millions of guys do that to women, so it's kind of the same thing, really.
But it doesn't make it right?
No, I'm not saying it does at all. It's just like, if they feel so comfortable to do it to women, why wouldn't they do it to guys too?
Yeah, true. There should be a brotherhood code with that kind of stuff, which I like. A lot of my friends are straight men and females, and I have a pretty cool, like, solid gay group of friends that are like all over the world who I've known for like 20 years. Yeah. But a lot, because I like a lot of, I guess it's really wrong to say this, but like straighty kind of stuff to do. Like I like body surfing and I like boxing. I mean, it's the dumbest thing to say.
You don't like paint and sip.
Yeah. No. Like when I go on dates, I'm like, meet me at the arcade.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I like to do, I'm like, let's go play Tomb Raider.
Where's like a gay place to meet someone, like besides a gay club?
the Wickham down the road from here. I don't know. But yeah,
drag
I think
shows.
Yeah, I mean it's great. The community and gays, like it's an amazing privilege to be part of, and all of it's amazing. But there is a bit of underlying toxicity when it comes to the overly sexualized behavior, and it does suck. And you do have to navigate around it. You know what I mean?
3 men speaking here, but I've heard the same from women too. That apparently, like, lesbian women can be really forward to bi girls or other lesbian girls, just because it's kind of, I suppose, like what you were saying. It's they don't care. Like, we're not as creepy as guys, so we can just jump on.
Do whatever.
It's like, everyone's creepy when you're being creepy. Yeah. Doesn't matter how big, small, color, like whatever you are.
100%.
If you're creepy, you're creepy.
Yeah. Creepy, that's it.
Creepy isn't racist. Creepy isn't anything.
Creepy is just creepy. Yeah, that's it. I don't know how we got onto this topic, but I'm glad we discussed it.
Let's get back onto a way that we're actually not too dissimilar. And that's, you're interested in making documentaries. Yeah. And you've got one coming up.
Good segue. Love it. So I, again, underneath the umbrella of I Believe in Me, I wanted to create a documentary about some of the girls that I was mentoring and that are part of my life through Music Groove. So I have 3 beautiful women of color. One is an activist, a model, an actor, and a singer. Her name's Gayala. The second one is Saro. She's a model, singer, songwriter, and flautist. Is that how you say flute? If someone plays a flute?
Yes, sir.
Flautist, yeah. I should know this. Flautist. And the third one is a DJ, a producer, a songwriter, and an artist as well, Satika. And all 3 of them have been part of Music Groove for the last two years or so. And they've been amazing sisters and amazing artists that I've been able to mentor and guide. 2 of them came on tour with me, which was great, when I went on tour in 2022. And I wanted to showcase their stories from their perspective, but I wanted to also be the one that tells it and interview them like you've interviewed me today. And so we wanted to create a documentary that follows their life for that period of time that we did, and showcasing what it's like for women of color to be able to tell their story and how they've navigated being artists in the music industry and the creative industry here in Brisbane, and what that's looked like for them dealing with racism, being women, being artists, and what their whole journey and story has been like. And so each one of them will be able to have like a small kind of like episode each. So we're doing like 4 different episodes, and they're documentary based episodes. So I think they're about 7 to 8 minutes long for each one. Initially, it was going to be like an hour-long documentary, but I've had to go back and get a few new editors on board, and we've got Louis, who's been amazing, who's come on board and just completely shifted everything with the editing aspect of it and the vision that I had for it. And now we've got Satika, 1 episode, Sarah, 2nd episode, Gaila, the 3rd episode, and the 4th episode is me with the girls interviewing them like this in Vent Space.
When's it going to be on Netflix?
Well, I want to pitch it, so I'm going to put it out the universe now. We want to pitch it to SBS and ABC, and there's 2 contacts in both those places, and I would love to be able to get this as a series, either online, or we will create our own YouTube page for I Believe in Me, and then push it through that and be able to then, get it to the masses somehow.
Yeah, awesome.
But their stories are important to tell.
Did you know their stories before going into it, or did you learn more as it unraveled, I'm guessing, as well?
I learned so much, particularly from Gayala, because she's First Nations, and learning more about her family and interviewing her family and her partner and her brother and sitting at the table with them and just asking questions, because as being in this country since I was since I was 10 years old, I still have very little knowledge about First Nations communities and how they've lived in this country and what it is their land and what it's been like for them.
A lot of people do.
Yeah, a lot of people don't. So it was really important to highlight what her story has been like, what her family's story has been like.
You were filming them in candid situations like the dinner table. And
wow. We brought the camera and the guys, and we were at the at the lunch table, I should say, and we interviewed her mom, we interviewed her brother, we interviewed... Say again?
Sounds like a privilege and like a rewarding experience.
Massively rewarding. And I got to have a stronger bond with all 3 of them. And I knew Satika and Sarah pretty well because I was mentoring and coaching them. And then Gaila came on board and then same thing. Yeah. And then I told all 3 of them, I said, what do you guys think about me doing this? Doing this documentary underneath I Believe in Me. And they all were like, yeah, for sure. Like their stories aren't told. Yeah. The problem is there are no stories like this being told in commercial mediums.
And if they are, there's always like a spin of like someone grew up in poverty and like you have to feel sorry for them and stuff. You don't get them feeling empowered. That's something I don't like.
Exactly. And these are powerful women. They're and they're very empowered, and they speak up, and they're activists and they're doing brilliant stuff.
The news is always putting out as like this refugee that grew up in these hard times.
Yeah. Positive upbringing, uplifting stories for other people to see and other girls to see and like other kids to see, particularly again women of color, is really, really important.
I think the everyday story, like what you're saying, is the important one too. Like it kind of sounds like what you're saying is the news makes it sound like you either need to be born into success or born into absolute dire straits. So you can turn it around. Whereas like, no, there's everyday women that are just in marginalized communities or just in different situations and they dream too.
Yeah,
we've all got dreams.
That's it. We do. Whiteboard.
We've all got whiteboards.
That's it.
What if we do a charity giving whiteboards to like first developing countries? Or is that enough of the whiteboards for today?
It's the best. Do you guys want to work on documentaries too? Because I think you mentioned that.
Yeah,
before.
100%.
I grew up just only caring about movies, and then I made a documentary, and I was like, "Fuck, this is sick. Yeah, this is what I want to do."
You made a documentary?
Yeah.
What'd you do a documentary on?
I haven't finished editing it, but my dad cured himself of cancer after he was told he had 1 year to live.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and we traveled to 8 countries around the world. And I was
No way.
17 at the time.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. So, that is a story to tell.
Yeah.
This was the first story I heard when we met after Gumtree.
Can we discuss the Gumtree thing for a second?
Let's go back and let's go to where it all started.
Wait a second. Who put what ad on Gumtree?
He put up.
I put an ad on Gumtree.
I thought it was you.
And like other social media.
He looks like the type to put it out on Gumtree.
That's not what I meant. I just felt like you'd take the initiative and be like, I'm putting an ad on Gumtree.
Do you want to hear something crazy? I actually put my sister on Gumtree.
To do what?
When I was a kid.
To sell it.
Like as a joke. And I forgot to take the ad down. And I accidentally linked to my mum's phone number.
Oh my God.
My mum started getting all these messages from creepy old people.
No way!
My sister keeps bringing it up.
Oh my God.
I heard about that as you know, those like neighborly dispute shows.
Yeah.
I heard that someone put the neighbor's daughter's virginity online and put their number on. And it was the same thing. They just kept on getting calls being like, I'll buy your daughter's for like disgusting shit.
The trauma of it all.
I didn't think about it as a kid. Anyway, let's go back to the story.
That's so messed
Change of topics. Yeah.
So you put an ad on Gumtree.
Yeah, he put an ad on Gumtree. We didn't meet for a while, and then behold, our iconic spot. We met at GYG.
Yep, GYG.
So what was your ad? What did it say?
It was basically just like me more or less saying I'm a little bit disenfranchised with working in like a corporate role, a corporate creative role, and I just want to do it for myself.
Yeah.
And then I was just looking for people to do it. My mindset was I'd had a couple of businesses before. Like when I first moved over here and while I was going to film school, I started a cleaning business, just like cleaning houses.
Amazing.
Got all my work through Gumtree. So I was like, there's obviously people on Gumtree, right?
Yeah.
So and I put it on everywhere and like got a few messages on Facebook and stuff. And it was just like older, jaded people who were telling me it was a bad idea and not to do it and that was making a mistake. And then Raf, I think when he first messaged me, I thought he was like 10 years older than me or something. Really? And then
I thought you were 10 years older than me.
And then we met at GYG.
I thought you were like a gamer, like a serious PC gamer into heavy metal music. That was like
wow, so specific.
I don't know how I would have given that.
I have no idea. I never told you that.
But then we met at GYG, and I suppose we were just talking about like each other's experience, and that's when he told me that he'd gotten into it. Yeah, through the documentary. I think you told me over text that you were like working on a documentary.
Yeah.
And what made you look on like online that day or whatever for Gumtree?
Yeah, why'd you respond to me?
Yeah, I'm so curious by the story.
I've actually met people on so many different apps. Like I get a lot of work from a guy I met on Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah, I think we're just people that like do that, and other people don't do that.
I just don't care where I meet people. Like,
no, it's great.
There's nothing weird about it for me, but I can see it's a funny story. But
when he messaged me back, there was no part of me that was like, "Whoa, someone's messaged me on Gumtree."
I don't know. I probably just...
Well, that's great. And
we're obviously both just looking for the same thing at the same time.
Yeah, like the universe.
Because I think about it now, and it's like we've had very little roadblocks. Like we've just kind of done it. You know, like we didn't really like try to become super like good friends. We just did it. Like, and here we are. A few years later, we've got a podcast. Like,
still alive.
Yeah,
it's so good.
We've just
I love that.
I think that's truly it. I try not to think about it too. We just did it.
Yeah.
Every now and again, because like a thing in our industry, I'm sure it happens in your industry too. Yeah. Like maybe you have a show with someone and it goes super well, and they're like, "Oh man, we're definitely going to get you back. We're going to tour the world together." Like it happens all the time in our. Like we'll do one job with someone, they're like, "Oh, I've got a job next week in fucking Cyprus, like we're taking you kind of thing. It's like, man, I've heard for every 100 empty promises, I've gotten one good promise kind of thing. So it's like, that's what we constantly we're like, damn, I can't believe you actually showed up on day 2. Like how you said, some people just don't show up. Like
the first cinematographer I ever met had like a really good partnership with another guy, like doing, like their roles just match. Sometimes he would direct and he'd camera, or he'd like be camera assistant. I was like dreaming for that one day. I was like, hopefully.
And then look, the universe provided it. Hopefully that's so great. I love that.
It's worked out so far.
It will.
When the podcast crashes and burns, and we're in court.
Actually, someone asked us, have you guys ever had a proper fight? And we were like, no. And she was so shocked.
That's good. That's when you know it's working. Right? That's when you know it's working.
That's it. That's it.
What were we talking about again?
I can't remember.
Documentaries.
But it was great getting to know why the Gumtree ad started and how that got. I've been curious for the last hour. I forgot to ask.
It's an interesting one.
I appreciate you asking us though. Nobody asks us questions.
Nobody asks you guys questions?
Not enough.
We usually tell them they can, and then it's almost been 90 minutes.
Wow.
So it's like, people just end up talking for 90 minutes and like,
they talk at you for 90 minutes?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we ask questions as well too, so it's
that's good.
It's a thing. You and CJ from last episode probably like invited most conversation from us.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's good. Well, that's important. I want to know as well. And
Huda was great too.
Yeah,
Huda was just like shouting out the episode you shouted out in the very beginning.
Oh
so
yeah.
Huda.
Yeah.
That was she had heaps of insightful things to say.
Huda was
I've loved all our guests though. Shout out to everyone.
Yes, that's right. Huda was actually at the launch of I Believe in Me. She was part of that last year. Last year or the year before. And she was part of both of them, which was great. So she's been an amazing support as well with that sort of stuff, which has been really lovely. There's a lot of people who've been very supportive because I'm new here still technically, so I don't know that many people, but I know lots of people. So it's worked out really, really well.
That's one thing I can say, maybe to end the whole like Brisbane versus Melbourne versus Sydney thing. Can't really compare it to other ones, but everyone in the creative Brisbane scene seems very inviting. If you show up at a show, everyone's like stoked that you're there. They want you at the next one kind of thing. Like people want you to come and be a part of it. I'm sure it is the same in other cities as well, but that's definitely, I've never been somewhere and felt, even if I'm like the only white person in the room, like I've never felt out of place or anything.
It's like models say, I'm not just a pretty face. It's like, I'm not just a camera.
So shout out to Brisbane for that.
Shout out to Brisbane. That's it.
And Ipswich and Logan and all the beautiful.
I don't know about the other places. Just the city area.
Just the CBD.
Just the valley and catalog music in Fortitude Valley.
That's it.
But look, any parting thoughts? Anything else you want to say? Where can people find you?
Instagram at Siki Daha.
Any websites?
Just Spotify.
Snapchat.
All online on Instagram. Music Roof. I Believe in Me is all there.
Home address.
36. It's I was literally about to give my address. It's all online. It's all on Instagram. I mean, if you just type in my name on Google, everything will come up, unfortunately. So, it's all there. But thank you so much for giving me the chance to talk about this stuff. I'm very, very glad that I reached out to both of you to have this conversation. And I actually feel really uplifted and relieved from that journey. There's
Funny,
no more.
Didn't you recommend having him before we even had anyone?
I'll clear the air. When you walked in, said, nice to meet you, we've actually met. I filmed you at Sound Freak.
What the hell? You tell me that now?
Maybe 2 years ago.
Okay,
and when we were very first talking about like people to get on the podcast, we were looking superficially at people's followings. You've got a kind of big social following. So I was like, I've filmed him. We could probably get him on at some point. And then you reached out to us.
See what I mean? It's in time, right? Why did you tell me you filmed? We met before?
Yeah.
And we actually shook hands?
Probably. It would have been a very like in passing thing. We didn't sit down.
He went home and told his mom that he shook your hand.
As he should.
on our Instagram feed, you're like in the thumbnail of a video that we've got. So there you go.
There you go. You'll
show you
have to.
What the fuck? I did not know any of this. You waited all the way to the end to tell me this?
Yeah, I was gonna leave it.
It's like this cliffhanger just there. That's cool. Was that when I did the Sound Freak, like the first and
you were there with you were helping 2 other females. I can't remember their name now. One was a dancer, one was a singer.
I feel like if we don't stop now, this is going to be a 3-hour episode.
Yeah, so. You're welcome. Wow, I don't remember.
And you were singing a song about me too, which is why I thought it was interesting.
Be brave. Yeah, that was like my first Sound Afrique. Wow, we met then.
Yep.
And now we're here.
Yep.
How crazy is that?
It's a loot.
Wow. That's cool. All right. Well done to all three of us. And on that note,
love it. Thank you, Siki. Thank you, Marty.
Thank you.
You said you're from Melbourne, right?
Yeah,
I think we went to high school together.
Don't fuck with me now. Don't fuck with me now.
Decades apart, I think we went.
Then another bombshell. Yeah. I'm your dad.
I'm only 16. So.
That's right. Internally 12. Awesome. Thank you guys. Really appreciate it.
Thanks so much for coming. Thanks for listening.
You.
Bye-bye.
Ciao.